Good afternoon. My name is Rosie Perez. I'm here at Sears Hair Studios in Orlando, Florida, and I'm here to share with you an awesome technique that's going to make you a lot of extra money behind the chair. But before we start with that, I'm actually going to talk to you guys a little bit about our charitable initiatives. The first one I'm going to talk about is our Heart for India. Heart for India is a really amazing program where we help to empower women and children in India. How do we do that? Well, we give opportunities for women to go to trade schools so that they can provide for their families. We have a 99% passing rate, so it's been a very successful program. We also give them self defense classes, and we take and give the children uniforms and school lunches. So it's a really great program that we do over there, and I'm really, really excited to share that with you guys. It's so important, too, that we give back, but we also give one scholarship a year to somebody to go to an American university. So it's a really, really awesome thing that we do. We're growing more than just hair, we're growing people's lives in a better direction. So the next one we're going to talk about is our Project Zero. Now, our Project Zero is a really good program as well because we're offsetting the carbon footprint. Obviously, we know as a company we should be very aware of how we are affecting our planets. So we do that by planting trees in Central and South America, which I feel like is a really awesome thing to do. We have actually restored 168 acres. Along with that, we've saved 15 endangered species. So it's really, really cool, and I think that it's something that you guys should really try to get yourselves into. If you go to hotheadsextensions.com, you have more than enough information there for you to give to the initiative, and or give your time, money, whatever it is that you can do would be great. So let's get to talking about the actual extensions themselves. So today we're going to be doing our Sew and Weft extensions. So I need to tell you a little bit about the product and how that works so that way you know what you're selling to your clients. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is our actual hair. So what's great about our hair is that it's 100% Remy. Now what does Remy mean? Remy basically means that all of the cuticle is going in the same direction, and that way it will look a little bit more natural, like our natural textures of hair. It's also body waved and pre-layered, so that's really nice too because the hair doesn't look so solid on the ends. But we're going to be talking about it later on, a little bit about the products, also what type of colors we have, different tools that we use, and our client consultations, how that's going to go through. So we're going to break down all of that today for you guys. So our hand-tied is the first product we're going to talk about. So our hand-tied sew and wefts are real interesting because it's for our different type of clientele that has typically a finer texture of hair is what I've found this to be really great for. But you can also use it by layering it on top of the machine weft as well. So the hand-tied comes in 14, 16, and 22 inches, which you're going to average anywhere from 12 grams of hair to 21 grams of hair on the actual weft itself. They are 11 inches long, but you can cut them in half. We are the only company out there that does this, but you can cut them in half here because they will unravel if you do anything less than just the half right there. But there's like a little break right in the middle there that you can actually go and cut right in the middle. I have one right here that I actually did earlier today, and you can see it kind of gives you a little marker on the sides where you can start and where you can go to. So this is really great, and it's excellent texture of hair. You don't want to use any heat above 150, 200 at the most, 250 at the most. So just make sure that you are aware of not overly heating these extensions because we don't want to mess up the actual quality of the hair. In our machine weft, we actually have only two lengths available in that, and that's our 18-inch and our 22, which average anywhere from 80 grams of hair to 100 grams of hair. just depending on which length you get and what type of product. We have 21 different shades, so it's really, really nice that we can have a lot of opportunities to match whatever our clients' needs are. It comes in natural and in premium, so if you look at your your coloring here, you'll notice here that it has all your naturals right here on the sides here, and it will tell you about premium and all that right in here. So you just color match your client and find out what it is that you need to order. So that's going to go ahead and bring us to our toolkit here. Our toolkit is really awesome here. If you can see, this is my cute little tool here that helps me hold our extensions while I'm doing them. Actually, I just kind of sit them to the side because it has little sticky things in there, and I can actually just grab it easier, and it's more neater. You want to make sure that your area is nice and clean and neat, so that way your clients will feel much more comfortable with the service that you're providing for them. All right, so why would we choose Weft extensions over tape-in extensions? Why not just do tape-in extensions? Well, Wefts actually will cover a bigger area, and the Wefts don't have as many points of contact with your actual natural hair, so you see a lot less breakage. It's really good for a clientele that is more of a working out kind of clientele, somebody that is constantly washing their hair or coloring their hair, trying to do something different with their hair. This is going to be a better product versus our tape-in extensions, where those ones kind of actually leave more gapped areas, so it has more points of contact to the actual hair and can create a little bit more breakage. So like yesterday I did a client that has very feather fine hair, and she doesn't really have very much hair, and what we were finding is that her stylist before me, they were doing the extensions on the hair, and it was creating a lot of breakage in her actual scalp area. So we found that our sew-ins was going to be the best thing for her, especially since she actually is a workout queen, and she needs something that's going to look a little bit more fuller when she pulls it up in a ponytail. So things like that are really important when we're figuring out what extension technique is actually going to work for your clients. Okay, so now that we know a little bit about the hair, the quality of hair, and how that works for our clients, let's talk about the tools that we're going to need in order to do our services. So the kit is really awesome because it comes with a cool little pouch that has all the things that you need. You have your shears, you have your can't think of the name of them right now, but I will get back to that, and our clips so that we can hold our extensions in place. And then we have our little clampers here that are really awesome, so we can clamp our beads. And then we have our parting ring. The parting ring is really nice, so that way you don't have to constantly pick up the comb, drop the comb, pick up the comb, drop the comb. You can actually just do that. But it also comes with our comb as well. So the comb is really nice, and we'll talk a little bit more about why this comb works versus maybe say another comb. So it's going to come with your comb and your little tool kit right there. Along with that, you're going to have a looper that has all your beads in there that you're going to load up, so that whenever you're doing your beading, you have this. It comes with these amazing clips to part and section the hair, along with our little Velcros to make sure that we're keeping all the hair nice and neat and clean and out of the way. We do also use a little medical pen, and what this does is it helps to mark us where we're going to be actually applying the weft onto the head shape, so it's more exact and measured correctly. So this is really nice, and it's not going to create any issues or anything like that for your clients. So all this comes in your kit, and these are all the basic essentials that you're going to need. Oh, along with your beads. You're definitely going to need your beads. And the beads come in 3 different colors. You're gonna have your brown, your blonde, and your beige, along with your sewing this stuff here. I'm having a brain fart to think of what the name of that is, but I will come back to it. Your thread. There you go, the thread. All right, so let's talk consultation. So now you know all the tools that you need for your service. We need to know about what the consultation is going to sound like. We have it all figured out for you. We have an amazing client consultation card here that helps to break down everything that you need to do whenever you're doing your client consultation. So obviously their information, their email address, anything to when they have done their consultation, along with the installation date and any social media, so that way we can tag them and or they can tag us. You first want to talk about the scalp analysis. The scalp analysis is really important because if we have a client that has a sensitive scalp, has any scalp irritations or anything like that, it's going to be really important for us to maybe think maybe this might not be the right technique for them. So this works for your tape-ins and your sew-ins, and so you just kind of go through here. We'll talk about your density, if they're fine, they're thick, they're coarse, and their hair types. Do they have oily hair? Do they have dry hair? And what type of lifestyle they live. It's important for us to know about the type of lifestyle and talk to them about what the best extension technique is going to be for them, just because if we don't pick the right thing for them, then they end up having different problems with their extensions. And this is a very expensive technique, so you definitely want to make sure that they are protecting their investment as much as they can and what fits for them. We also want to talk about the desired look. Do they want to have thick hair, full hair? Do they just want to add color to their hair? Those are really important too. And then we go into our color matching. So we talk about if we wanted a rooted look, do we want a just solid one color? And so we'll break that down there too. So this is going to be a really important part of your ordering as well too, the client consultation part. So that way you get the right product and how much product you're going to need. You have a list of that, and then you know exactly the breakdown for them. Now, this necessarily doesn't have to be for your clients. You want to make sure that this is for you and for your purposes only, because the client doesn't need to know all the breakdown of that. You just kind of talk to them and you figure it out how you go. So you want to make sure that all of this is all worked out perfectly. Okay? And then the next thing, any comments, the extension product that you're going to do, whether you're going to do tape-ins, weft, fusion, whatever the technique is you're going to do. Then we're going to break down the type of hair that we're going to use. Are we going to be using original? Not original, ultimate. Either it's going to be hand-tied or machine weft for this specific extension technique. Then we're going to talk about the color. We make sure that we put the color in there, the length, which length that we're going to do, and then the number of packs that we're going to do. Now, one thing I will say is that with the packs, you need to understand for different amounts of hair for different density or desired density. So for fine hair or hand tied, you're going to have two of the actual in your little kits. These are, I don't have any for you right now, but in the actual packet itself, it comes with 2 hand-tied rolls of hair. And the machine weft comes with 1. For a fine texture hair, you're going to only need 1. So your medium texture hair is going to need anywhere from 2 to 4 packs. And your machine is 1 to 2. And then your coarse is going to be 4 or more. And your course for your machine weft is going to be 2 or more. So those packs are different, like I said, anywhere from 3 to 5 packs, or machine weft is 2, and our wefts are going to be 6 to 10 or 6. So just make sure that you know how many packs of hair, obviously, that you're going to need, because it actually will go really fast, and you think you need more than you don't, and you don't want to overcharge your clients. So just be aware of the amount of packs that you're going to do. Along with that, you're going to have to include your beads, You're going to have to include your thread and anything that you're going to need to use to do the service for that day. So that brings us to our pricing. So our pricing worksheet we have here is just a basic idea of what you guys want to use as far as how we're going to figure out how to price our services. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to put obviously the cost of the hair and the shipping. So there's always going to be a shipping price on there too. So make sure that you're writing down all these details, and you can just use this right on your client consultation list right here, so you know exactly what's going to be the pricing and everything. It's got all of the information on here. And then your service charge, how much are you going to use or how much you're going to charge to perform the service. Typically on a typical, client's hair, anywhere 2 to 3 hours is going to be, max for, anywhere from fine to thick hair. And you'll build time with that. It can go faster even. So obviously we're going to want to make sure that we are doing something simple, fast, and extraordinary for our clients. So time is money, so make sure that you are practicing your timing on your actual application so that way we don't have to be there 2 and 3 hours. But I would say to start off, 2 or 3 hours is going to be the best time for you. So what I usually do is however much I charge for my haircut is what I'm going to charge for my hourly rate. So you can go anywhere from 55, 65, 75, up to 150. Just depends on your market. Everybody's market is different, so everybody's pricing is definitely going to be different just based on those different needs that area has for you. So I usually do the cost of the hair, the shipping, and all of the different products that you're going to be needing. If you're going to need to get I usually also include the package with the deep conditioner, the smooth conditioner, the clean shampoo, and the mask. So those 3 are really essential for them to maintain their investment at home. And you're going to want to make sure that they can have a good brush too. So the brush also, I include the price of that. So those four products I put as a part of the cost of the service as well, because we want to make sure that they're maintaining this investment that they're doing. So I typically will go anywhere from 25 to 50%. It just depends on you and your market. Also, again, between 25 and 50% on you upcharge onto the hair itself, so that way you're getting some money for the service. But typically that's how it's going to work on your Weft, your pricing, and how you're going to put together your pricing. So, okay, we're talking about consultation. We've talked about our pricing. Now let's talk about our application. So our application is definitely a really amazing application that, again, is through time will be easier and easier, but you do need to know that it is something that's going to require a lot of tools. So make sure that you have all of your tools nice and set up. Everything is nice and clean. I have a little basket that I usually put all my little tabs and things like that, but it's also good for my my beads. So if the beads fall or anything like that, I can put them in my little basket here. As you can tell, I have my little tapes and everything in there, so everything is all set and nice and neat. We want to make sure that too, when we're preparing, we prepare with using our needle. I remember the name, our needle, and it comes with 3 different needles, so you can actually use these needles throughout the service. You might have to loop them, but I pre-do them so that way I don't have to keep making more. And we're going to talk a little bit about how that sounds too. But the application, to start with, we're going to make sure that we want to cleanse the hair. After we're done setting up our area, everything's all set and ready to go. I usually set my clips. So here's everything. I set my clips all up so that they're easy for me to take out. I have my little scissor to cut the weft if I need to, or if I need to cut the thread. And then I have my parting ring. So if I need to section their hair, it's right in my hand, and my needle here. So I put that needle right in here, and I put this right on top here. And I usually put it right on the top so that way it's easy for me to grab and go, because this is a time thing. So if you don't have your timing right, obviously it's going to take more time. So, okay. So now we have everything all set up. Everything's all good to go. I have my looper with all my beads in it. And I will show you guys how to do all these things in just a second. But first we want to talk about how we're going to prep the hair beforehand. So we don't want to make sure that there's any kind of product in the hair. So what we're going to do is we're going to cleanse the hair, up to 2 to 3 times with our deep clean, so that way we can take any product or buildup or anything like that that's on the hair. We want to cleanse that, and we want to make sure that everything is nice and clean, because we don't want to create any kind of slippage or anything. Then we want to make sure we blow dry the hair nice and smooth, just like we have little Sally over here. So she's already been pre-done. She's cleansed, and we smooth her out with a flat iron. So we want to make sure that that is nice and clean, so that way our client isn't going to be obviously have dented hair or anything like that. So it can create kind of lumping and different things when you're doing the sewing. So after we've done that, we're going to want to make sure that we section the hair. And again, when we're sectioning the hair, we want to make sure we're doing it light on the clips, because we don't want to create any kind of lumping or bending on the hair. So I usually do that by starting off with the section, how she's going to part her hair. If she tells you that she wants to do it on both sides, I usually try to do it right down the middle, so that way she'll have variation on both sides. But you always want to make sure that you are parting the hair the way that the client will naturally wear their hair. If you don't know how that goes, you just kind of comb it back, push it forward, and it will show you exactly how the hair is naturally going to fall. What I like to do too is I like to separate the hair from the front to the back. And I only do that just because it kind of gives me an idea of where the hair is going to lay at. But again, I am actually just lightly clipping those, because I don't want to have to dent the hair too much. Okay. On this side here. And you can just see here, we're just kind of splitting it from the front and the back here. Okay. And remember, the nice and cleaner your sections are, the more balanced the overall style is going to look. So make sure that you're very aware of how balanced you make your sectioning be. Okay. She's a little tough today. It's okay. We're going to make it work out. So again, I'm going to split it right down the middle in the back here. And it's really important when you are breaking down like how you're going to map the hair is on how much hair the person needs and all that kind of stuff. If we go in and take a look at all of these different parts where you might be doing a little bit of a corrective cut, or you might be creating more length. So you want to make sure that you're looking at the balance of everything. Does anybody have any questions? All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a few minutes, and you're going to go ahead and break out into your breakout rooms, and you are going to just section the hair nice and neat for me. Okay? And I'm just going to get some things ready for you. Nice and clean. Okay. All right, you guys did a great job. Now that we have everything sectioned out, what I want you guys to know is that there's a few rules that we want to make sure that we're careful of when we're figuring out how to place the actual extensions. Rule of thumb, you're always going to want to be 2 fingers depth away from the hairline. So whether it's here around the face, or if it's above the ear, or if it's going down the sides or underneath, we want to be at least 2 fingers depth away from the obviously the hairline, so that way when you pull up the hair, you do not see the actual extensions themselves. And our little brush here is kind of a good one that we can do with that. So if I parted this section here, and she's about 2 fingers depth, and I bring this over, I can't see my brush. See there? I can see it poking out to the sides. But I can't see it through the actual amount of hair that's there. So it's so important that you are aware of these little details, because nobody wants to see that they have wefts in their hair if they pull it up in a ponytail. Now, if they're a client that wears their hair more down, maybe you can work and talk to them a little bit more about those details and not have to actually do it, you know, that far away from the hairline. But majority of the time, rule of thumb, just to play it safe, always make sure that you're at least 2 fingers depth around the face and around the ears, around the sides, and on the bottom there. Okay? All right. So now that you guys have everything nice and sectioned, what we're going to do here is, again, we're going to 2 fingers depth away. So we got 2 fingers here. See, we're about 2 fingers depth, right about in there. And again, we want to make sure that we are not denting the hair too much. So very lightly pull that. And what we can do is we can use our little Velcro guys to help us clean, make it nice and clean, so there's no hairs in our way. Okay, now what you're going to want to do is, we're going to do like a U, kind of like a horseshoe shape. So it's like slightly horizontal, but then it goes down, it dips down a little bit. So from here, I'm going to connect going down. Again, I'm wanting to make sure that I am 2 fingers depth, at least 2 fingers depth away from the hairline. All right. Now again, remember, we're going to lightly clip that up and out the way here. All right. See that? It's nice and clean. So what I want you guys to do is, if you're right-handed, you're going to start on your right side. If you're left-handed, you're going to start on your left side here. And just section the hair off. Remember, 2 fingers depth here, 2 fingers depth on the side, and 2 fingers on the top. So we're doing it a little deeper and higher right in the back here, but you can see that it kind of dips down low and into the sides here. Well, we could probably just clean that up just a tiny bit here. Little guy, clip that out of the way. Okay, and remember, our Velcros can actually pull this right up and keep it nice and clean for you, so there won't be creating any kind of grabbing or pulling from the other hairs from above. Okay, so just take a few minutes, and we're going to go ahead and break out in our breakout rooms, and we are going to section the hair. Okay, great. I'm so glad that you guys are having such a good time, doing such a good job. I'm so impressed. I hope I'm a good teacher for you guys. All right, so now what we're going to be doing is we're going to start to do the beading, which is going to create the base for us to sew the actual weft onto. So it's really important for us to make sure that we are very, very aware and careful on how we're doing this. So it needs to be nice and clean. You typically don't want to be any thicker than the weft of the hair of this section. But the first one we're going to do is the anchor bead. So the anchor bead is going to start off, and it's going to actually be at least 1 inch long, or let's measure the hair first. I think that will be better. We'll block all that off. I skipped a step, but it's okay. I'll come back to it. So we are going to go ahead and take our extension piece here, our weft, and we're just going to go ahead and measure it all the way around. So I'm going to go ahead and part all the sections all the way around. So now we're going to do it on our opposite side here. It's just like how we did it on the other side. So we're going to take our sections here. Lightly put that up and out of the way. I'm going to use my little Velcro, guys, and bring this right up here. You see how we're doing that there? And we're going to dip down low and meet to the other side there. See? So you guys go ahead and you're going to go into your breakout rooms and you're going to go ahead and clip all these out of the way here and finish that whole section all the way around. Because what we're going to do next is we're going to actually fit our weft into that, and we're going to use our handy dandy medical grade pen here that's going to help us to mark where our actual weft is going to go. Alright, so you got 5 minutes. Go ahead and do that and come back when we're going to get to this. Alright, you guys did a great job. I'm super impressed with everybody's work today. Does anybody have any questions? Yes, you can actually layer the hair, and you can put more than one weft onto the hair. So what I would do is I would take, say I wanted my machine weft, I can actually put my hand-tied weft right on top of that. Comb this out a little bit for you. And you would just fit it right onto the head shape here. And I'm going to show you a little bit more about that, but when we're figuring out where we want to actually place it, we're going to actually have to put it right in the middle, balance on both sides, real nice and neat, right? Okay, now that we know that these both fit, we can actually just use one. And I'm going to use our machine weft. And I'm just going to take this, I'm going to measure it right onto the side here so it goes perfectly. Remember, we got to make sure that it's 2 fingers depth away from the hairline. Okay, so 2 fingers depth on that side, same thing. So perfect, we are matched. And then we're just going to use our pen. And we're going to mark as we go along the head shape, right where we start from. Start right in here, just mark those areas all the way around to the opposite side. Okay, so that is going to be how we actually measure where our actual weft is going to be sewn onto. So after we do that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to actually create the beading, so that way we can put our weft sewn right on top of that. Okay. So we're going to start off with creating a anchor bead, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So what I like to do is I like to actually put this in my finger and kind of hold it in my finger so that way I'm not picking it up, dropping it down, picking up, dropping it down, because time is money again, guys. So just be very, very aware of your time. And now, how do we create our anchor bead? So we are going to actually take a very fine, thin section in here, like a rectangular section. And it's going to be about 1 inch long. Because remember, again, we want to make sure that this looks kind of flat around the right close to the hairline. And we want to create a good solid anchor for our clients here. Now, once we've done that, I usually just put my comb right in here. What you'll do is you'll take your looper and you will put the hair right into there and loop by pulling right in between here. Just pull that to the side. I put my looper right onto my pinky finger here. Just gonna move this to the side so you can see it a little bit better. And I'll move this over here. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab my clamper here. I'm gonna pull this all the way to the top there and just clamp that right down there. Now I wanna make sure that I'm talking to my client and asking her how that feels on her scalp so that way she doesn't have any irritation or anything. And then I'm just gonna go and keep creating with every 1/2 inch another bead. But I'm not going to want to take the entire bulk of what's in here. I'm just going to take about 15%, which I typically will take the top portion of that hair and just add it to the bottom. Now this might be when you might want to take one of your little clips and just clip that little guy right out of the way so he's not in your way. Okay? Now I'm going to loop the hair. And we're only going to do this till right about the middle of the head shape. Loop this right in here. Put it back on my finger there. Remember, pull this all the way straight up. And clamp that right down. Okay? And again, what I'll do is I usually just kind of clip this little guy up here so I can continuously use him. If not, you can clamp that out of the way as well. So I'm just going to continue. And I like to just use my ring here. Just take a little bit of that hair. The rest of it, clamp down out my way. Okay, so you see, we're just clamping this right down. This is creating a base for us to actually sew the weft onto. Okay. Now I would say that you're gonna have maybe between 5 and 7 of these little guys, just because sometimes people have bigger heads than others, so they might need a little bit more beads. But typically anywhere between 5 and 7. Going to continue that right around the head shape. Okay. Now, does anybody have any questions or anything while I'm doing these? Yes, so you want to make sure that you're only using about 15% of that previous loop in there, because we don't want it to be too thick. Okay, we want to make sure that this is as flat to the head as we can get it, so that way it looks more natural for our clients. Okay, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we're going to use a little space right in between there, not go all the way down to the middle, because we have to go and do the looping on the opposite side to meet the middle, so that we can connect these right here in the center. Okay, so I want you guys to go ahead and take some time in your breakout room. You get about 20 minutes, and you're going to actually create this same idea on your side. Okay, great. You guys have done such an excellent job. I'm so proud of you. Now we're going to move to the opposite side here, and we're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. Now you see here, remember, this is where we're gonna, our starting point is gonna be for our weft. So we're gonna piggyback right off of that, about an inch. Okay, down. So I'm gonna lift this up a little bit more. So I feel like it's a little bit dipped down some. Okay, so slight rectangular, about an inch long. I'm going to loop this hair right through, take the bead, bring it right up. Make sure we don't have any snagging, because I feel a little bit of a snag there. Take my tool here. I'm just going to bring this right up into there. You see that? That's your anchor bead. Okay? Now remember, we're going to use 15% of this one here. Another triangular section, but we're not going to do as far. We're just going to do like a half of an inch. We can use our clip here. Get that out of the way. Loop and clamp. Okay, continue this around the head shape. Anybody have any questions on that? So we're going to still keep going. I know it can seem like a very time-consuming thing when you're first starting out. It is not an easy technique. It does take practice, so don't be worried if it takes you a little longer than normal. That is okay. After your first or second time doing it on a client, you'll be a natural. You'll have your own rhythm and the way that works for you the best. So this is perfect here. So you see this little tugging? That means that there is too much hair in the actual looper itself. So you want to make sure that you're very careful, because these little looper guys here can break pretty easily. So just take it right back out Put the loop back on here, and you're good to go. But just be a little bit more aware of how much hair you're actually putting into the weft or into the bead itself, so it does not create any tugging. I also recommend having a few of these guys here just in case, because it's like that one day that, you know, I don't know, the looper wasn't just not feeling it that day. They didn't feel like working, so you just need an extra one. I always like to have extra tools just in case of anything. Okay. Now, what we're gonna do here is I think we could probably fit, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, probably fit one more into here. Okay. Loop this last one in there. Well, not the last one, but the last one on your right side. Okay, so now they're gonna kind of meet into the middle part right in here. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna connect these guys together. So how do we do that? Again, we're gonna wanna take just about 15%, maybe a little less, on both sides here. And then we're going to take the rest of this section in here, in the middle, and we're going to loop all this together. So what you can do is you can take the little clip, or a big clip, whichever one. This one's a little bigger, so I'm going to take a bigger one. I'm going to loop this into the looper, right into the center here. I'm just going to clamp that just like that. So you have it, it looks like a Y. Okay, so now this is your base. This is what your base has created here. Now here's the fun part. We're going to actually put our weft on, add our weft onto the head shape over our base that we've created here. So we're going to take it right in here, and we are going to place it right over the top there. We're going to take our clips, right over the top here. I like to start right in the middle and the back here so it kind of holds it all together. Then I can take my little handy dandy thing here, take a few of them out. Start on this opposite side, make sure I'm perfectly balanced, which is a little bit off. It's okay, you can readjust as you go. This side. Right, you see everything's nice and clipped, nice and neat. Just bring this up just a little bit here. Make sure it's nice and flush to the head shape. You can adjust and pull these clips out as you go. All right, you see all that? All right, so I'm gonna give you guys just a few minutes to take your time and go ahead and clip this and get this all ready for you. All right? Great. I'm so impressed with everybody's work today. It's so nice to see everybody working so diligently. I love that. So again, we talked about our needle and our thread, and preparing that ahead of time so that that way we can actually work a little bit more efficiently and faster. Because again, time is money, and in my experience, when I was first starting off doing this, you know, a full head would take me 3 hours, sometimes 4 hours to do, and it was just, you know, the timing, the threading, all these little details that you would think that would be fast and easy to do. Typically, all of that will fall or something will happen, and you want to make sure too that your needles aren't your needles and or your threads aren't touching the ground, because you want to make sure it's nice and sanitary and clean, because COVID right now is not everybody's friend, so we're trying to be as cleanly as possible. Even before COVID, we wanted to make sure that everything is nice and neat and put away where it's supposed to go. Okay, so I already loaded two of my my needles here. Excuse me, because I just dropped one, so I'm gonna have to sanitize it now. And you will have to get used to these threads getting caught in everything. So just have a spot. I actually have a little styrofoam mannequin that I put them in, and that kind of helps me a little bit, but sometimes it still even gets kind of knotted up in there. So I just kind of have to try my best to be aware of where my thread is. Sometimes I just hold it in my hand, and so I can maintain that it's all going in the right direction. But let me show you how we like to thread our needles really quick. So this is our thread. Obviously the thread is going to match the hair, but this is for training purposes, so this is really good for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull it out 1 arm's length, 2 arms length, and then 3. And that's going to be basically all you need for that whole entire row. Okay, and I'm going to use my handy dandy shears that I get from my kit. Cut this here. And again, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to preload these needles, because time is money. So I usually just kind of put them all to the side, meet them together. All right. And I'm going to thread my needle that I cannot find. Oh, here it is. I found it. So again, like what we were talking about before, because I didn't mention it again, but if we wanted to add, more extension pieces or other colors into the hair, we can actually put that right on top, and we would clip that to go along with the weft that we already have on there. So we're sewing that all at one time. So you can customize these extensions any kind of way you want. You can add color, more volume, whatever it is that you need to do. Pops of color, because a lot of the times people do extensions because they don't want to mess up their own hair. And these are great for that. Okay, so we're going to thread our needle here. I'm a little blind, so excuse me if I take a little while. Boom, got it on the first one. That's awesome. Now, this is the tricky part too, guys. When you are threading these needles, they can get kind of crisscrossed and turned. So I just kind of hold it in my hand and bring it all together. So I'm holding it and not wiping on the ground the thread. Okay? And what I'll do is I'll just loop it one time. This. Let's make it a little bit closer to the end. Little bit. Try to match them. Okay, now I'm going to loop this, and what we're going to do is we're going to tie this 3 times. So I've looped it together, create my knot 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. If you want to make it really sure, you can do it 1 more time. It's not going to hurt. But we do want to make sure that the knot isn't like too crazy big, because that might create a little bit of uncomfort or discomfort. It wasn't meant for me to do it the 4th time, I guess. Alright, so now all of that is loaded up. What I do is I pull it all together. See here? Now it's all in my hands, and I can control what I'm doing when I'm sewing. Okay, now what I'm going to teach you guys right now is our lock stitch. And that's how we're going to start off our extensions. Is we're going to see that bead right in here that is our anchor bead. We're going to go right in the back there and right behind it. We never want to sew on your bead, because when you sew on your bead, it can create some irritation. So please make sure that you're always aware of where your beads are and not sewing on your beads. Okay? Now, how you create your anchor bead is basically, I mean, not your anchor bead, but your lock stitch is to go basically right through. So you want to make sure you're putting your finger here too. It's really, really good to do that, because if you go down and loop up, then you can pull in some of the hair. Trust me, if you do it, it's okay. Learn how to not do it the second time, okay? So it does create irritation with your clients. So just put your finger right in here, and it's easier for you to kind of gauge where everything is at. So I'm going to just flip. You see, it's right onto, sorry, let me turn it a little bit so you can see. So it's going to be right underneath my area here. I'm just going to go in right in between there, and I'm just going to go right in between thread on both sides, and that is, I'm going to take that all the way, feed that through right on the bottom there. Okay, now that is your lock stitch. Okay, now what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to go forward, and then we're going to go back, so that way we can really secure this in here. Everything's nice and neat here. Now that we've done our lock stitch, we're going to go on the opposite side of our bead here. So just be aware of your bead. Do this a little bit closer to that. So you're going to want to make sure that your string is on the left side and your right side here. And just feed that right through. See, it's going to come on the top here. And you can just pull down on that hair right there. So you're going to have to put this right in here. This is called a blanket stitch. So that blanket stitch is going to go right onto the top of that weft there. And just right over top. Okay. Now you're going to follow that all the way to the front of this actual section right in here. So I'm going to go on the opposite side of the bead. And that is your blanket stitch here. Hope you guys can see that. I don't think you guys can see that. But you see one on one side, and you just feed that right onto the top there. Now if it gets like that where there's a little string, you see that little string there, you can actually just maneuver back and forth. And that's good for that. And I usually do every 1/8 of an inch a blanket stitch, just so that I can secure this weft onto my base. So again, we're going to feed this through, and you can go real slow with that. And right on the top there. So we're going to follow this all the way around, all the way to the front. and I am going to show you how to catch your corner. And catching your corner is basically making sure that we are sewing on top of this edge of this corner right in here, so it lays real smooth against the scalp. But it might take you a few blanket stitches before you can get there. Okay? Just take your time with these stitching. Obviously time is money, but when you're first starting to learn this technique, you're wanting to make sure that you are perfecting the technique and making sure it's nice and neat and balanced. Also, we're gonna wanna talk to our clients about how it feels on their scalp, because we wanna make sure they don't feel too much tension, because the too much tension can create a irritation, along with it can also make it very, very uncomfortable for the client. All right, so we're getting closer to the corner here. Not quite to the corner yet. See, I just take my time very slowly, because this is going to be the most important part, right around the edges here, because you know, obviously we need this to be very flush again. So when I get to that corner here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go slightly at a diagonal. Here, I think I feel like I need one more. We're going to do one more blanket stitch, and then I'm going to catch my corner. Okay, so now we're going to catch this corner. We're going to go in at a diagonal right up underneath this weft here. I'm going to slowly grab this and just feed it right onto that corner. All right. And we did not quite catch. Oh, nope, we did. We got that corner. And now we're going to just take that and go back the opposite direction. Okay? And again, blanket stitches all the way back and forward. Do not, please do not sew on top of your corner there. And we can actually see there's these little pieces of string here. We can kind of cut those little guys off that were from the actual lock stitch that we did there. Now, does anybody have any questions about the lock stitch or the blanket stitch?